Welcome to another episode of The Unstoppable People, Achieving Your Dreams in Spite of Obstacles. To get your copy of the book, please check the links in the description. This episode is titled Customs and Conditionalities. In Leviticus chapter 15, verses 25 to 33, the Bible says, "When a woman has a discharge of blood for many days at a time, other than her monthly period, or has a discharge that continues beyond her period, she will be unclean as long as she has the discharge, just as in the days of her period. Any bed she lies on while her discharge continues will be unclean, as is her bed during her monthly period, and anything she sits on will be unclean, as during her period. Anyone who touches them will be unclean. They must wash their clothes and bathe with water, and they will be unclean till evening. When she is cleansed from her discharge, she must count off 7 days, and after that she will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, she must take 2 doves or 2 young pigeons and bring them to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest is to sacrifice one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. In this way, he will make atonement for her before the Lord for the uncleanness of her discharge. You must keep the Israelites separate from things that make them unclean, so they will not die in their uncleanness for defiling my dwelling place, which is among them. These are the regulations for a man with a discharge, for anyone made unclean by an emission of semen, for a woman in her monthly period, for a man or a woman with a discharge, and for a man who has sexual relations with a woman who is ceremonially unclean. Customarily, according to Jewish law passed down to them by Moses, a woman who was bleeding during her menstrual cycle was considered unclean. This woman had been chronically unclean for 12 long years. Anything or anyone she touched became ceremonially unclean. Uncleanness was closely linked to sinfulness, because just as sin was atoned for, uncleanness was also atoned for by sacrificing 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering. The woman with the issue of blood was not supposed to come into the crowd because she could cause massive contamination of people by contact. She chose to break or dare to overlook that restriction. There are times when certain social barriers must be overlooked, sidestepped, or even disobeyed to reach the master. All those who pursued their purpose, Moses' mother, the 2 midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, Esther, Deborah, and the daughters of Zelophehad, broke some barriers to reach their goals. The first woman to study medicine in a university broke many restrictions, ignored many traditions, and challenged long-held taboos. If the woman with the issue of blood had gone to consult the so-called experts, they would have warned her not to come near the crowd. If they even heard her say she wanted to touch the hem of Jesus' garment, they might have stoned her to death without the knowledge of Jesus. No matter how unclean you are, you can still touch him. No matter how filthy your mouth is, you can still call on his name and be saved. No matter how blood-stained your hands are, you can still touch him and he will make you clean. Customs may condemn you, but Christ will pardon you and commend your faith. When it comes to matters of faith, traditions and customs are guardians, but Jesus is your Father and Creator. When the Father comes, the guardian steps aside. When people succeed, they often set rules for others to follow. Yet if you study the history of very successful people, you will find that it was providence and persistence of vision that gave them their first breakthrough, not a traditional practice manual. For many who succeed in life, there was a season when they were considered deviant and defiant, but success later made them models. Discoveries and advances are usually made by those with contrarian thought patterns. Sunday school was not part of regular church services until someone introduced it and it gained acceptance. Home cell units became popular after someone started it, and it worked. Many churches have tried the same approach, and it did not work for them. They needed another unconventional strategy. The crowd hardly has a mind of its own, but the woman with the issue of blood had a mind of her own. Where is your own mind? Lost in the crowd. Thank you for watching this episode from The Unstoppable People, Achieving Your Dreams in Spite of Obstacles. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. To get your copy of the book, please check the links in the description.